people right now, people maybe get used to sit at home and watch football games on screen instead of going to a stadium, because it's probably more convenient.
Right.
And then you can think of what to do better, what to do to make the experience better in the stadium. It's not revolutionary again.
Right.
It's something clubs need to do because they need their fans in the stadium, because that's an important revenue.
Hi everyone, and welcome back to the Sporting Global podcast. And today I'm here with Thomas. And Thomas, how are you? How's life in Luxembourg these days?
Well, we're not in Luxembourg right now.
No, but you will be. We
will be in March, right?
Exactly.
March.
But we'll talk about that. But how's life? How's everything going?
I'm fine. Family is fine. So all good. Business is doing well, I would say. You mentioned Luxembourg, so we're organizing a conference there in March. So you can imagine organizing an event right now is a bit tricky. So that's the only thing that is not perfect, I would say, or not very good. It's a bit more tricky than you would hope.
Right.
But everything else is fine.
But I'm sure it's gonna be fine. Like at the end of the day, it's just like getting this Christmas and winter out of the way, and then just preparing all your effort for I guess a safe and nice event in Luxembourg and in late
that's
March.
The plan.
Yeah, that's the plan. Like fingers crossed. We're here to support that for sure. And it's pressure having you here, Thomas. And we're gonna dive a little bit into, of course, your background, a little bit of what you guys are doing, at Football Business Insider. And I wanted to just talk a little bit about first and foremost, how did your journey in the sport industry begin? Just take us a little bit through your journey.
Well, basically it began in sports. So it's not the sports business, sports industry. It began in playing actively football.
Right.
That was the starting point, I think, for many people. Well, at the certain point, I started, or I founded a football portal, a news portal, a website about the usual things, transfers, rumors, and so on. So that was fun. That was beside my my study.
Yeah.
And at some point we started to publish a printed magazine as well, again with interviews with players and so on. So everything related to a sports side. And then I decided to publish a special edition of that printed magazine on sports business, or on football business, basically.
Right.
So looking behind the curtains a bit. And that was really, really interesting, really, really fun. And that was basically the starting point of everything we're doing right now in football business. And that was I guess 5 years ago or something.
Yeah.
And after that, I started working on a football business magazine and created a website and started organizing the first events. So that was the start, yes.
And that's awesome though. And obviously, you're the founder and owner of Football Business Insider, and I guess you talk a little bit about I guess in a sense your journey into it, but how I guess did the company come to life, and I guess what would you say is the key purpose behind it?
Well, I told you how it started basically.
Yeah.
I think then the point where it really came to life was the first event. It was in spring 2019 maybe, or 2018.
Right.
I can't remember, to be honest. But that was the first event.
Before pandemic, you know.
Before pandemic, definitely before pandemic, there was a time where or when organizing events was a bit easier.
Right.
Well, yeah, that was then really the starting point to be present, be there with something, yeah, not just online, not just in a magazine or something. Be there as a person as well.
Right.
Invite people to a physical event and organize something. That was the starting point. Basically, after that first event, yeah, we developed further as a company and with our purpose, with our goals.
Yeah.
So right now, we would sum up the goals of Football Business Inside or FBIN, as we sometimes say as well.
Yeah.
I would sum it up in a few words. It's supporting football organizations in their development, in their growth.
Right.
So that's what we want to do, and yeah, with different or in different ways.
Right.
Yeah.
And I guess like, you know, just as, you know, the founder and like living in that startup, you know, bubble in a sense, like you have to wear multiple hats, of course. And, you know, what would you say are like some of your key responsibilities and tasks that you do today?
Yeah, multiple hats. That's perfect. Yes. Well, I would say I'm doing nearly. We're such a small company. I'm doing nearly everything,
Yeah.
at least a bit.
Right.
So, well, the main task is, of course, developing the strategy, to develop the direction where the whole company should lead to. Well, that's the main thing. But in fact, I'm organizing the events. I'm getting in touch with potential partners, speakers, whatever. I'm in touch with our network members,
right,
regularly. So just to exchange and see what they could need, what we could do for them. And I'm also still doing interviews and so on. So I love writing and talking to people and so on. So that's where I come from, basically. I studied journalism and public relations, so I'm coming from that communication side, I would say. So I really love that, and that's what I still like and love to do. So yeah, but basically I'm doing nearly anything, at least supporting other people in doing their work.
Right.
The only thing I'm not doing anymore is layouting the printed magazine. So that's something I did at the start, but that's something I completely delegated right now.
Right. No, but it's a fun journey, you know, and just having, like, I guess in a sense, a foot in everything, and just learning a little bit, like, you know, the process and the stages of, you know, building a company from scratch. You know, it's a lot of, you know, key factors involved in it, and as you said, a lot of strategy and a lot of, and I think you mentioned a good thing too of just like, yeah, I like that you really enjoy, like, you know, writing these interviews and like doing them, and like, in kind of like your background, right? And so, like, people are like, kind of like, sometimes I feel like they're you know, because you have so many things to do that you kind of like forget the not necessarily the reason, you know, but it's like, you know, what do you really enjoy, and what are you really good at, you know? So it's like, keep doing that because it's something that you really like, you know. And I think it was important that you mentioned that in this essence, because there's so many things you have to do and so many things that, of course, you can delegate, but, you know, keep the task, you know, balanced, so you can, you know, have some fun work, and then, you know, do like some stuff that you really enjoy as well, because there's a lot of things you have to do in the startup world.
Yeah, everything related to accounting and so on. So that's also something I need to do every now and then.
Right.
That's something I'm not really enjoying that.
Right. But it has to be done, you know.
Yeah, it has to be done, right? And if you're a very small team, then someone has to do it, and yeah, that's me then basically.
Right.
But yeah, you mentioned it. I really love writing and communicating with people. So also the event organization, that's also something I really love to do, and so therefore I'm pretty happy with what I'm doing. Yeah.
Hey, as you should. You're following your dream, like, starting your own venture, and
Yeah.
like a lot of fun stuff involved there. And I wanted to just, obviously you guys, are, balancing events, you have magazines, reports, and like even weekly newsletters. And how do you, ensure that the content is, staying fresh and relevant to your audience and to your network? And I guess like as a side question as well, what kind of like measurements did you take during the pandemic, where you essentially could have no events? And obviously now a bit challenging, but if you want to like, segregate it a little bit and starting with like the content side of things first, how do you keep it fresh?
Staying fresh, yes, that's a good question. Basically, I think that comes with being in touch with people at the clubs, at the leagues, at the football organizations, and talk to them about what their issues are, what they're currently working on, what are the big projects they're doing, and then you get an image of what is important for them. And it's not always things that are new or innovative or fresh that's important.
Right.
Sometimes it's very it's more or less a bit random, but that are topics that are important for clubs. And if there's an organization or clubs, leagues, whoever, and if there's an organization that does something different, or I don't know, does something in a special way or very good, then that's something that's interesting, because because people are usually interested in getting to know how others are doing the things they need to do as well. Getting inspired and just learn new things. And that's the aim a bit, to inspire people with our content, and to have content where people can learn something from. So I think that's the essence of it. The second question regarding measurements, regarding measurements because of the COVID pandemic. Well, the pandemic did not really affect the content production and these kind of things. But of course the event side. So we had a fully digital conference in 2020, in autumn 2020, because it was not possible to have a physical event. Beside that, I mean, we as we're a pretty global company with members from Asia to America. So we already had video calls and online sessions before the pandemic, because that was the easiest and I guess the only way to stay in touch with all those members in all those different time zones and different locations. So that was not really a big change for how we work. Of course, there's different topics for the content we produce. So that's for sure. We're talking about how to bring back fans to the stadium, for example, or how to better monetize your digital assets, something like that. That's because of the pandemic, more in the focus of football organizations.
That makes total sense. And I wanted to, you talked a little about like the angle of content, right? And sort of like the I guess in a sense the random things that comes out of it. And I want to like you to just give us some examples of what kind of content that is, so people get like a grasp of like, well, what can I actually
Mhm.
read though? If I join the FBIN network and wanted to get a little bit more
Yeah,
insights here, like what kind of content are we talking about?
yeah, yeah. Well, as I said, yeah, that could be really random. That could be ticketing, and ticketing isn't something very new. I mean,
Right, right.
every football club does that for 100 years now.
Yeah.
So it's not really revolutionary, but it could be a new angle for ticketing, looking at it as a subscription-based model. That typical Netflix-like subscription model
Right.
for season tickets or something like that.
Yeah.
And talking with people that did that, set something up for their club, that could be interesting, or that is for sure interesting,
Right.
because people are always looking for new things and things they could do better, improve themselves, improve things at their organization.
Mhm.
What else? It could be how you manage to have a better experience for your fans. That's an ongoing topic for years. I think it's getting
Right.
more and more important because because people right now, people maybe get used to sit at home and watch football games on screen instead of going to a stadium,
Mm.
because was probably more convenient.
Right.
And then you can think of what to do better, what to do to make the experience better in the stadium. It's not revolutionary again.
Right.
It's something clubs need to do because they need their fans in the stadium, because that's an important revenue stream. And
Yeah.
of course, it's about the atmosphere and everything.
Right.
That's for sure.
I wanted to touch a little bit upon like just moving into 2022, which is rapidly approaching us now. It's we're in December, like mid-December, and we're about to I guess in a sense like as well, like how are, just as a side question, just for fun, like how are you gonna celebrate Christmas?
With the family, I think last year it was not, or it was possible, of course, with the closer family. Last year was not possible with the bigger, wider family to celebrate because of COVID.
Yeah.
This year, I hope this is possible. But I'm a father of two, so Christmas is with that smaller family already pretty much fun, I think.
No, but that sounds like an enjoying. It's gonna be a good time, I think. I'm sure, and hopefully.
Absolutely. And our smaller one is getting 1.5, so it's the first time she really gets what happens at Christmas.
Yeah.
So that's really, I'm looking forward to her staring at the Christmas tree with big eyes and so on. Yeah, that's gonna be great.
Well, I'm sure it's gonna be an amazing experience for all of you. But going into 2022, and sort of like obviously with your several years of experience from the startup world, I guess like what kind of key lessons have you taken with you going into 2022, and thinking ahead now, like from the last few years and dealing with the startup and pandemic and kind of like the whole situation. What are some of the key, I guess, strategies and key lessons you're bringing with you into the new year?
Yeah, I think that's the hardest question until now.
Yeah.
Well, I think the most important learning is to stay as flexible as possible. Especially looking back to the pandemic. That's very important, and to adjust your plans, your strategies, as good as possible to the surroundings and to what's happening. That's important. And what I learned in, I don't know, the last 5 years or so, is that it absolutely makes sense to build a network, so a personal network of contacts, where you can, you can, what I mentioned before, where you can get to know the situation um, of organizations, of course, of people in organizations,
Right.
and to to know what or how to react on that, and just to have a feeling for what's important in the industry. And of
100%.
course, yeah, networking is always important, because sports business, football business, it's not that big. It's
Yeah.
not that big. There's basically, uh, when thinking of football and football business, there's always a limited number of clubs that is there.
Mm.
Um, it's not that the number of clubs is growing that much. Maybe there's
Right.
one or two clubs that becoming a professional football club for the first time in their history.
Mm.
But that's not a big number.
Right.
So it's a pretty much closed ecosystem, and to be well connected in that ecosystem, yeah, that can help in many different ways.
100%. And I mean, like, it's a valid point too. Unless you're obviously in the MLS or something where it's like 3, 4 new teams every year.
Oh yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah.
But yeah, no, at a general level, like I completely agree with you. It's like it's the same stakeholders, all the
Yeah.
time. I guess like the
Yeah.
only thing that changes is I guess the professionalism and the size, right? In a sense that it just keeps
Yeah.
elevating, like in terms of resources and money and
Yeah.
sponsorships and all these interesting
That's true.
things.
That's all this. Yeah, all those interesting things we're writing about and talking about.
Exactly. No, but and I wanted to just finalize this podcast a little bit too with obviously just some tips that you have for more of
Yeah.
students that wants to work into the football industry, that are trying to get their foot in the door, like trying to like start their journey in this closed ecosystem. Like what kind of
Mm.
key tips do you have for them?
Well, when I will look back to how I started, um, it was just getting in touch with people,
Mm,
talking to them, get to know them a bit. That was basically the start. I
right.
did that, of course, for the reason to create content out of it, basically to do interviews. But I think that's always good to get in touch with people and to
Yeah.
learn from them, to talk to them, and to establish a network. That's really the key element for people that want to work in sports or start in sports,
Hmm.
to get in touch with people. It's
Yeah.
a people's business. That's maybe it's a phrase that's often used, but it's a people business. You need to get in touch with people. You need to get in touch with people to learn, and that's what you need to do: learn and grow as a person.
100%. Well, I couldn't say it any better myself, Thomas. I think it was a great way and a good tips, to wrap this up. And for those of you that been staying here all the way at the end, how to get break into the football industry now. Make sure as well, if you haven't liked the video, subscribe to our YouTube channel as well. And if you haven't, check out the FBIN page at sportingglobal.com. Check more out what they're doing. They're sharing content there as well, and maybe there's also a good network for you to be part of. So make sure to check that out. And Thomas, it was a pleasure having you part of the podcast. I wish you and your family and everyone in the FBIN network a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Which this is actually going to be our last episode for the year, so it's like a little bit of a special final episode, and we're glad to have you part of it,
Perfect.
Thomas.
Okay, cool. So yeah, then also Merry Christmas and Happy New Year from my side, from FBIN in general, and thank you very much for the chance to be here, talking about FBIN a bit. And hope to meet you soon in person, maybe at one of our events next year.
Yeah, let's fingers crossed for March, huh?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Well, Thomas, I've one final tradition that we're doing at the Sporting Level podcast, like every episode. So I have to teach you a little bit Norwegian. That's the final.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Cool.
So with every episode we do, we always finish with "Vi snakkes," which means "see you later" in Norwegian. So that's what you have to say.
Okay. Can you repeat it once?
Vi snakkes.
Vi snakkes.
There you go. Good job.
Okay. Perfect.
You did it.
Easy. You know, German and Norwegian are not that much.
Practically the same. You know.
Yeah, practically. Right.
All right. Thank you so much, Thomas. Have a good day.
Perfect. Thank you. Have a good day and a good time. Thank you. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.